a single gaffe from him.
He is such a fantastic speaker, and I think another thing that he did really well with kind of having a shared sense of like getting together with the Jewish community is him saying that, maybe I don't agree with you on the situation with Pal, but I know that both of our, ideas come from shared humanity. And I thought that was just such a great way to put it. It's like, well, we may disagree on this, but we both disagree on it in a sense that, in a way of humanity. That was just he's such a fantastic speaker.
He had such a way of bringing everything back to the core truth, right? Of distilling these attempted gotcha moments or sound bites back to the truth of the matter.
And made sound bites of his own.
Yeah, and I think you can only do that if you're coming from a place of actual authenticity and actual care. And I think it's clear people received that well.
I'm so happy. This has been living a mess. This has been such a joy to follow from the beginning.
Yeah.
And if there's any haters in the chat right now, get used to it, man.
I want a fucking fan, yo.
Hello,
right,
everyone.
Who is this?
We're finally getting started.
Turn up the mic.
I'm Elle Biscard Church, Zeron.
Who is she? Turn up the mic. There we go. Oh, okay. Fucking well done, yo. She better be employed for life.
Life, that's right.
For life.
The DNC's gonna poach her.
Give her a raise.
Okay, before we welcome Zeron to the stage, and I know we are so excited to see him, I want to say first a few words of gratitude and reflection and bring up a few other special partners. It is deeply
Technically,
to look out and
he hasn't won. No one's won. But he's winning.
He's the Democratic nominee.
Technically, no one has won.
Those who believed in us before New York knew Zeron's name. So, let's hear a round of applause for New York City DSA!
It's Verizon's summer.
The fuck? No! Fuck you!
Series 10.
This is why we need the grocery store.
Wow. Wow. As soon as she says, let's hear it for New York City DSA. Oh. 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 Yikes.
Well, that kind of looks good, like I'm a little hungry now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I love Wendy's.
Oh my god.
Yo, did anybody get that SpongeBob meal?
DSA.
Wow, that crowd is blowing out that mic.
Yeah.
We also have here our trusted advisors, our loved ones, our elected partners, our volunteers, and our absolutely amazing staff!
Brave? Okay. Thank you.
Everyone in this room has contributed to a disciplined, bold, and principled campaign. It has been run by the left and organized to win!
Fuck yeah. Oh my god.
Ours has been a campaign of trust, of joy, of camaraderie, and I am immensely proud
of cutie patooties.
All of you.
Right?
Free buses.
5 years ago, before my first day as Zeron's chief of staff, we sat together and we articulated the vision
She's
for
his
the movement
chief
that
of
we
staff
hope
as well.
to build.
That's awesome.
Each day, we would work to embody the values of a better world. we would campaign, legislate, and organize in a way to make these values
She's gonna
true
run
by
one
our
day.
actions.
We gotta back her.
I hope so.
We would resist the creeping fascist tide through trust, and we would build trust by acting trustingly.
I love that.
And
Oh,
it has been the
dark.
same with
Wow.
this campaign.
Okay.
We have already realized an image of the city we want and we deserve. Together we have built and strengthened our shared bonds, bonds of struggle, bonds of friendship, bonds between families, neighbors, and tenants. This campaign has never been about the achievement of a singular end goal. It's not just about the struggle for solidarity. It's about the solidarity in the struggle.
Damn.
Oh my
Oh. Oh, can I change my vote? I want to rank her.
This movement in itself is a force, and this movement is a victory over alienation and cynicism.
This is Zoran Mamdani's campaign manager and chief
Is
of
she
staff.
also the
And don't
speechwriter?
forget,
She
I
sounds
want to know
like
who wrote this.
you are not alone, and you are not powerless. I am so proud of all that we are becoming, and now it is my honor
Yes.
to introduce one of Zoran's first supporters, both in the race for mayor and when first elected to the assembly. Our Congresswoman, working class champion, and incredible partner of our campaign, Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez.
Yeah, she was apparently his chief of staff, so she'll probably join him in his luchadora, luchadora, luchadora.
We want to hear from Zoran, so thank you so much.
Oh my God, I can't believe
proud
this.
of all of you for the work that you put together to get to this moment. And to work so hard for
Yes,
the
luchadora means
city
fighter.
that we all love. So let me just say, hello, Long Island City. What a night. This campaign.
I'm gonna go buy a
this
t-shirt right now
campaign
and a mug.
has shocked the world. But everyone in this room knew we were going to do it. You believed in this movement when the pundit said it couldn't be done. You knocked on doors, made calls, talked to neighbors, and tonight, we made history. Zoran Mandani brought people from every background together around a simple, powerful idea that New York City should be a city for everyone.
That's right.
Not just the wealthy, not just the well-connected. Everyone. He spoke to the struggles we all see. Rising rents, crumbling public services, working families barely hanging on, and he gave us something real to believe in. There is not special formula here. It's about listening to our people, to our community, and putting together a vision for the future of this city.
Thank you, guys.
You know what? The billionaires are watching this moment.
and they're mad.
Ooh, I love
They are
that.
going to spend to stop Zoran. Why? Because they know that this campaign threatens business as usual, and they are scared. So tonight,
Who would
we
think of that,
celebrate.
billionaires?
But tomorrow, we get back to work.
That's right.
Hell yeah.
What,
Fuck
it's what
yeah.
Brenna's been saying
We are
all
going
night,
to
guys.
knock even more doors. We are going to organize in every borough. We are going to turn these people power victory into a movement that takes us all the way to City Hall. And together, we are going to elect Zoran as the next mayor of New York and change our city forever. But this is the thing. The city has changed. Zoran knew it. Other candidates didn't see it. And that is why we are here celebrating this incredible moment. God bless you all.
It is so loud there. That's so cool.
So, my name is Tish James, and is Brooklyn in the house?
Guys, just ignore Lane and revel in the moment.
Listen.
Lane is just chirping. Ignore him.
Have your
Oh, Elaine's
attention
mad.
just for 2 minutes.
Super big
And
bad.
then we're going to bring on the candidate. Just 2 minutes and I'll be gone. Just listen. All throughout my public career, I have rejected the politics of fear. The politics of division. The politics of hate.
This is in Queens, technically.
Of low expectations. And Zoran, all throughout this campaign, rejected all of that as well. He kept focused on his message. He wasn't concerned about the money. It was all about the power of the message, the power of his word. And so,
Long Island City.
I saw
It says right up there.
in my beloved Brooklyn and all throughout this city that this campaign was fueled. It was fueled by the power of people. People yearning for
And
change
cutie
in
patooties.
this city. People who heard his message.
It's going to be in my brain
We all
forever.
came together. And I want those who are listening, who came to me, who called me, who texted me, who emailed me, who were afraid.
Little
I
bitches.
want all of you to know.
I just want her to
after
go
this
this.
campaign is over, we will all come together.
I want
I'm
all of
literally
you to know.
We will heal this city.
I'm literally picturing like
And I
a
want
front
all of you to know.
line of a war with cutie patooties on one side
Understand
and
that
little
Zoran
bitches on the
is really
other.
a man who respects the humanity of everyone.
Literally what we were saying earlier. I forget who said that
Well.
specifically, but quite literally, that's what you guys were saying.
Primary is now over.
Technically not true, but yeah. Technically still counting. But yes.
Como wins in the end. We're all just mad.
Celebrate
Nar.
victory.
Do not speak that.
Tonight represents a resounding win. His critics said
Woke is
that
back.
he should wait his
Yes.
turn.
Woke never left, baby.
His critics
It
said
really
that he
didn't.
didn't have the experience. His critics said that he didn't have the right name.
Oof.
Well, now all of them know.
No! What do they all know?
Oh,
What
bunch of new
No.
mixins like
Add
Oreo
Milwaukee
cookies
by
or
Wendy's.
Pop-Tart.
Fuck.
I feel like they're timed.
Yeah.
I'm being conspiratorial. I'm like, "Ugh."
Yeah.
I blame Land.
Land pick
They
up.
best not interrupt Zeron. They're gonna. Damn. I don't want to pay for YouTube, whatever. Now all of them know. Wendy's. I believe there's a location somewhere because they're at like a bar, a rooftop bar, I believe. I'm sure you can look it up.
Zoran, Zoran, no. This speech is about this. It's about to be a fire
Look at that
speech.
cutie patootie!
Oh, see, and I love that he's breeding people. I just love that.
That's a real politician right there.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Take your cameras down. Look at
Yeah,
that
for
cutie
real.
patootie. Oh my god!
Yo,
Look at
Wayne
that smile.
is human right now.
That's my mayor, yeah.
My friends. Tonight, we made history.
The people's princess. Yeah, you did.
In the words of Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it is done.
Yes!
My friends, we have done it.
Dude, quoting Mandela.
I will be your Democratic nominee for the mayor of New York City.
Get it, Brenna.
Well, Brenna, don't celebrate yet because technically it's the voting's not done.
Let her have it. Let her have it.
Excuse me? What did you say? He's gonna be the nominee.
An hour ago, I spoke with Andrew Cuomo about the need to bring this city together as he called me to concede the race.
What did Cuomo say? Yeah, fuck that shit. I am in New York. I'm in Brooklyn.
Yeah, shut up.
Yeah, Brad Lander deserves his props, man.
He could have egoed it.
We love Brad. We love Brad.
Yeah. Yes. You can't fake that.
Daddy's not gonna be
Yeah.
comfortable with him.
Together we have shown the power of the politics of the future. One of partnership and of sincerity.
Yes. Man, that's real as heck.
All right, now kiss.
Hey.
Today, 8 months after launching this campaign, with the vision of a city that every New Yorker could afford,
Do it, lady.
we have won. We have won from
Zuraman
Harlem to
Zaddy.
Bay Ridge. We have won from Jackson Heights to Port Richmond. We have won from Maspeth to Chinatown. We have won because New Yorkers have stood up for a city they can afford.
Yes.
And against the
A city where they can do more than just struggle. One where those who toil in the night can enjoy the fruits of their labor in the day.
toil.
Dude, I love that line. He's been saying that, and I
Where
love
hard
that.
work is repaid with a stable life.
Zaddy Zozo.
On the factory floor or behind the wheel of a cab
I want a T-shirt that says that. Zaddy Zozo.
It is enough to keep the lights on. It is enough to send your kid to school. Where rent-stabilized apartments are actually stabilized.
Yes! Fuck
Where
yeah.
buses are fast and free. Where childcare doesn't cost more than CUNY.
Yeah.
And where public safety keeps us truly safe. And it's where the mayor will use their power to reject Donald Trump's fascism.
Fuck yeah.
Man, good with the sound.
To stop mass ICE agents from deporting our neighbors.
Yes.
And to
Outstanding.
govern our city as a model for the Democratic Party.
Yes.
I hope he gives Brad Lander a job. I don't want Brad to be
Where
unemployed
we
now.
fight for working
Same,
people
I agree.
with no apology. A life of dignity should not be reserved for a fortunate few. It should be one that city government guarantees for each and every New Yorker.
Yes.
If this campaign has demonstrated anything to the world, it is that our dreams
Congress
can
would be good.
become reality. Dreaming demands hope. And when I think of hope, I think of the unprecedented coalition of New Yorkers that we have built. For this is not my victory. This is ours. It is the victory of the Bangladeshi auntie
Oh my god.
who knocked on door after door until her feet throbbed and her knuckles ached.
Oh no.
It is the victory
Well,
of the
Shut the fuck
18-year-old
up, TikTok.
who voted in their first ever election. And it is the
Is this still
victory
working for you guys?
of the Gambian uncle who finally saw himself and his struggle in a
It's
campaign
lagging.
for the city that he calls home.
Picture is lagging, but the sound is not.
He is so handsome.
Dreaming demands solidarity. And when I look out at this room
Zaddy Zozo.
and out onto the midnight skyline, that is what I see. Canvas launches that continued in the pouring rain. Children who
Right.
called parents. Strangers
Sorry,
who care
I don't know
about
why.
those they will never meet. A New York that believes
It's the
in
heat,
each other
guys.
and in itself. This is solidarity. And it defines our victory. And above all, dreaming demands work.
Good enough.
Last
I think it
Friday
caught up.
night,
I think it caught up, yes.
as the sun began to drop in the sky, I set off on a 13-mile walk from the
You guys see that?
northernmost
Dude, that was
end of Manhattan
epic.
to the base of the island.
Who
We
does
began
that?
in Inwood, where music
This
played
guy.
and neighbors set
I-
out
you know,
dominoes
it's
on the
crazy.
sidewalk.
During a
It was
heat
7
wave.
p.m. The weekend had arrived. For most people, the time for work was over. But this is New York, where the work never ends. Waiters carried plates on 181st Street. Conductors drove the subways that rattled high above 125th. And world-class musicians tuned instruments as we passed Lincoln Square. By the time we made it downtown, a crowd marched behind us, a living embodiment of the energy and purpose that defines this campaign. Still, long past midnight, New York worked. Garbage trucks weaved through empty streets. Fishmongers carried in tomorrow's wares.
Not the mongers.
And when we finally arrived at the Battery at 2:20 a.m. in the morning, the workers who run the Staten Island Ferry were on the job too. Just as they are every hour of the day, every day of the week. Each of these New Yorkers Yorkers carried a dream with them that night as they labored. Just as each of us dreams of a New York that is more hopeful and affordable for all.
Who is his
We
speechwriter?
have worked hard for our dream.
I think this is off the cuff.
A historically
I want to believe it.
Dev Econ calling Rise of Radical Wokeness affordable New York. Yeah, that's why we're woke.
Okay.
I hope,
We like, you
I
know,
hope now
affordable
that
life.
this primary has come to an end. I can introduce myself once more.
God forbid we have one.
Wait,
more.
wait, wait. Shh. He's about to do it.
Not as you've seen me in a 30-second ad or in a mailer in your mailbox, but as how I will lead as your mayor. I will be the mayor for every New Yorker. Whether you voted for me, for Governor Cuomo, or felt too disillusioned by a long, broken political system to vote at all, I will fight for a city that works for you, that is affordable for you, that is safe for you. I will work to be a mayor you will be proud to call your own. I cannot promise that you will always agree with me, but I will never hide from you. If you are hurting, I will try to heal. If you feel misunderstood,
No! No!
New and existing customers get
fuck?
iPhone 16 Pro, Apple Watch Series 10, and iPad. All three on us.
This is the capitalism. This is what we're fighting.
That's up to
This is
$2,000
it.
Right?
This is it.
only on Verizon.
Almost makes you want to buy a
beyond
Samsung.
our
Jesus.
5 boroughs. There are millions of New Yorkers who
I'm gonna
have
switch my
strong
cell phone
feelings
provider.
about what happens overseas. I am one of them. And while I will not abandon my beliefs or my commitments, grounded in a demand for equality, for humanity, for all those who walk this earth,
I don't make enough
you have,
to pay for YouTube
you
Premium.
have
Right?
my words.
Like, if you want Brenna to have a
reach
YouTube
further,
subscription,
to
gift her.
understand the perspective
Yeah, send me
of
gifts.
those
Let's fund the
Yeah.
YouTube subscription.
I don't see enough galaxies in the chat for that.
Oslo got a galaxy.
Oslo
In
did get a
these dark
galaxy.
times, I know that it is harder than ever to keep faith in our democracy. It has been attacked by billionaires and their big spending, by elected officials who care more about self-enrichment than the public trust, and by authoritarian leaders who rule through fear. But above all, our democracy has been attacked from within.
Yes.
For too long, New Yorkers have strained to find a leader who represents us, who puts us first. And we have been betrayed time and again. After so many disappointments, the heart hardens. Belief becomes elusive. And when we no longer believe in our democracy, it only becomes easier for people like Donald Trump to convince us of his worth. For billionaires to convince us that they must always lead. As FDR said, democracy has disappeared in several other great nations. Not because the people disliked democracy, but because they had grown tired of unemployment and insecurity, of seeing their children hungry while they sat helpless in the face of government confusion and weakness. In desperation,
Look at this
they
user
chose
comment.
to sacrifice liberty in the hope of getting something.
I agree. We do need more
New
hot
York,
people in
if we have
politics.
made one thing clear over these past months, it is that we need not choose between the two. We can be free and we can be fed.
We can be free and we can be fed.
We
Damn!
can demand
Yeah.
what we deserve.
Red and roses.
And together we have built
A rap for his
movement
nanny.
where everyday New Yorkers recognize themselves in our vision of democracy.
My Desi parents are going to have way higher expectations for me now.
Every new voter registered,
Yeah.
that is
That's
faith
hilarious.
renewed.
He's younger than
Every
me.
voter who traveled through withering heat to the polls.
My parents are
that
going to be
is
like,
faith
Wait, how
renewed.
old is he?
he's 33.
He's
And
33.
every New Yorker who sees
Damn.
solutions
Little
to the
baby.
daily
Okay, petite
challenges they
baby.
face
What the
in
fuck
this
am I doing with my life?
that is faith.
Right?
Together, New York, we have renewed our democracy. We have given our city permission to believe again. And I pledge to you that we will remake this great city, not in my image, but in the image of every New Yorker
Thank you for
who has
joining.
only known struggle. In our New York, the power belongs to the people.
How many bars does this guy have, bro? That's
And as I thank
Jerron, when you talk about making
are
things
here with
affordable,
me
do you mean
today.
YouTube Premium?
And as I thank the incredible leaders who have long fought for those people, who are here across this crowd and across these 5 boroughs and standing next to me in the Attorney General of this state, in the public advocate of this city, in our Congresswoman, Nydia Velasquez, in our Controller, Brad Lander, and in every single person who believed in this campaign long before it was easy to do so.
Good night. Thanks for joining.
And you believed
Kate.
when it was difficult. We dreamt in the night. And we are
Yeah, I
now
agree,
building
user.
in the dawn. That new day, the one that we have yearned for, the one that we have struggled for, the one that we have knocked for, have texted for, have called for, the one that we have obsessed over. That new day is finally here, my friends. And it is here because you have delivered it.
Literally.
Thank you.
Bring the wife up. Give her a smooch. So we can all live vicariously through her.
Take off your shirt.
Oh my god.
Oh, who said that?
It's a heat wave. Take off the suit. Give her a smooch. Do it. Do it. There she is. There she is. Come on.
And as I thank you, I must thank those who brought me into this world.
Oh, his parents. Oh my god, now I'm gonna cry.
I must thank my mother and my father.
Oh my god.
Mira and Mahmoud. And I must
He does
thank
have the best smile. Oh my god.
Zoom out. Oh, we won't be able to see you all because of the crowd, I think. Aw.
Fuck yeah, a man kissing his
And I
dad.
must thank
Yeah.
That's
my
awesome.
incredible
We love
wife.
this.
That's masculinity right there.
Give her a smooch. Give her a smooch. Oh, there she is. There she is. He kissed her hand. That was very appropriate.
Very
classy.
demure.
Thank you.
Oh my god, is she taller than
Thank you
him?
so much.
That's even better. Look, she's like,
Aw.
she might actually be a little bit taller than him. I'm sure she's wearing like heels, but like, That's amazing. I
Well,
love this. I love that.
Now let us lead this city into one that is affordable for
Look at the way
each
she looks
and
at him.
every New Yorker.
oh,
Look at the way she looks at him. Oh my god. Oh my god. Look at them.
and
Oh.
I love her bob. I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah.
Like her haircut.
He's so baby. He's Zaddy baby Zozo.
Oh, I love it.
Now the grind don't stop. Make sure you're out there. Make sure you're calling. It's non-stop till November.
His parents must be so proud. Oh my god. They must be
Can you
shocked.
imagine? Can you imagine?
Yeah, me too, Ryan.
I can't wait for Trump
Look
to
at
say
him, he
his name.
smiles. I love it. Someone said when he smiles, his eyes disappear. It's true. It's true. That's like a genuine fucking smile. My God.
You can see it all through that camera.
Lane, I bet you're in a red state, which means you're on welfare that we pay for. This is New York fucking City. My taxes pay for your bullshit.
Yo, Leighton, where you at?
That's hilarious.
Can I just say, I love the way that he acknowledges like the actual place that a lot of people are like emotionally right now. And he's like, even if you just are in despair and you didn't even come out, like, I'm still for you. Like, he just acknowledges, I don't know. I think it's a really strategic, awesome thing to say.
That was a very,
Which part?
very well put together speech.
Yeah, when he acknowledged several times like the mental space, like the exhaustion, right, that people are in. I just love that.
Yeah.
He had bars every sentence.
Dude, and it's because he lives it. Like, you can tell the difference when somebody lives it. They're not in some bubble, right?
Well, like one of the things that he did as well when he spoke about people that didn't vote in the primary because they didn't feel like there was any point in doing it, right?
Yes.
That's the complete reversal of all of like the centrist Democrats coming out there and saying, "Oh, you leftists that stayed home and sat on the couch, everything's ruined forever because of you." It's actually looking to build coalitions with people, right?
Yeah, like he's acknowledging the
it's not
reality that
transactional.
got us here. Yeah. Yeah.
And like that's such a key point for people to be able to pick up on. I want to see what that looks like in the papers tomorrow.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
I know.
that's going to be
Cuomo
something to
literally
see.
said, like, if you don't come out and vote, you don't have you don't have the right to complain.
Like,
I
mean,
just want to. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just want to say, I have been following this for so long. I've wrote a whole paper about this. It's been so insane to see. I thought I was crazy at one point. I was like, there's no way, like, he's gonna win. Like, it feels like he's gonna win. What is the polls missing? But each day, every single day, the hope has just compounded into a absolute ass whipping. When it comes to that,
No,
I know
I feel
Brenna
you.
says technically, but when it comes next week, it's gonna be like 55-45. That is an ass whipping when your name is the only thing getting you votes. I am so happy. We got to keep it going. This, based off of everything I've been looking into, this is a bellwether. In 3 years, if this momentum keeps going, you're going to look back at this moment, at this candidate, and when everybody's explaining, like, how are these progressives winning in Texas? How are these progressives winning here? It's going to come back to this moment when a winning message came through with a focus, with execution, and with patience. And that is what I'm so excited for. AOC 2028, calling it right now. Get your bets in.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I know I don't disagree, but I do want to say, like, I feel like everyone says that when there is a progressive win. Like, AOC won a few years ago. You know what I mean? Bernie won decades ago. And you know, we can say, oh, this is it. This is the moment. but we're gonna say that for the next candidate too. I don't think there's ever, again, back to like the work. You know what I mean? It's not like, oh, we did it once, and so from now on, the DNC is gonna be like, oh, okay, well, I guess you're right. No, we're like, we had to fight for Mamdani the way we had to fight for AOC. The way we've had to fight for, any sort of minor, I can't even think of any of the fucking, I guess the whole fucking squad, every single one, it's going to feel like this is the tipping point if we get there. But that's not how that works. You know what I mean?
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
If AOC in 2028 says that she's running for president, how hard are you going?
I'm going hard. I think she should run for Senate, personally.
I think this is her moment. The Democratic Party is.
I think she should run for Senate. Firstly, also, by the way, because the president doesn't. When the president is doing their job correctly, the president doesn't have that much fucking power. You know what I mean? The president doesn't write laws, doesn't pass laws. The president is just in charge of enforcing the laws, in theory. I want a fucking president I don't have to think about. I want a president who shows up, does their job, and enforces the existing laws. We need to focus so much more on the legislature, especially the Senate. I want AOC in the Senate because she is a good legislator. I think the change we need has to come from the fucking laws. People keep focusing on the presidency. And the fact is, Trump could have won the presidency, but if we controlled fucking Congress and if we had... like solidly controlled it, not with like Manchin and that sort of bullshit. And if we controlled Congress solidly, and if the Supreme Court had not been completely fucking Shanghai, well, firstly, if we had controlled Congress solidly, the Supreme Court wouldn't have ended up the way it did. They would be doing their jobs. Like, we'd be fine. Like, we could totally have... Yep. Trump be president, but if we had like proper solid control of the Congress, we would be fine. And that's not the case. We got to stop giving this much power up to the presidency. That is not what the president is supposed to be fucking doing. And we got to focus more and start like re-educating people on the importance of actual fucking Congress. They write the laws.
Yeah, I had a teacher in high school that said, it really stuck with me for some reason, said that like the president is just a glorified secretary. It's really all he is.
They're top
or
cop.
she.
They're
Yeah.
top cop. I made a post explaining this. The executive branch executes the law.
So I mean,
that's it. That's what the executive branch is supposed to do.
That's what they're for, right? But I think that one of the things you're talking about here, I also think that AOC could do a lot more work if she ran a primary challenge against somebody like Chuck Schumer. I think that would do great. That'd be great numbers for us.
Yeah.
But one of the things that we also have to take a look at is the state of the party in general.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Like, think about somebody like David Hogg. David Hogg has been like the perfect victim poster boy for these people since he was 16 years old. Mm-hmm. And the second that he comes to the table with a very minor kind of reform policy, saying people should be cognizant, engaged, and go to work when they need to vote, and that if they don't toe the party line, they don't go to vote, and they're old enough to the point where we have to call their competency and capacity into question. Mm-hmm. That's not great. That's a bad look for the brand, and we should primary challenge them. They ran him out on the rail.
No. I'm gonna listen. I will grant you they reacted poorly and absolutely pushed back way more than they fucking should have. But the whole like thing where they were like rechecking, oh, technically he was like, it was like they broke the, I don't even remember all the details anymore. Broke the rules of his, nomination or his election, whatever. That came up. That was challenged and that was in motion before he even said the whole primary challenge thing. He's also, I like David Hogg. I like so much of what he stands for, but he's also known as being kind of a little bitch. Like, he's very difficult to work with.
I would imagine probably if I was getting that much attention since I was,
Yeah.
defeatist, I might too.
Totally.
But what I'm saying more is that.
But
like,
I'm
if
just
we're
saying, no,
looking
no, no.
at-
But I just want to
yeah.
clarify, because we shouldn't be absolutely, we should criticize Dems for how fiercely they pushed against it. But they didn't remove David Hogg in response to that. That is not what happened, and we should not be. No. No, that's not what happened. So
then take the case of Cori Bush.
What's that?
Or take the case of Cori Bush. You have the center of of the Democratic Party does not want to cede any ground.
I'm not disagreeing, but that's different than claiming. No. I'm not disagreeing, dude, but we fucking fact check here, and I'm not going to let you claim that they ousted David Hogg in response to him saying we got to primary challenge all the old fogies. I'm not going to let you fucking do that because it's not actually true. We can absolutely, again, I keep saying, I have no fucking problem saying the backlash against it was ridiculous. I have no problem saying the dinos have to go. They're the problem. I have no problem saying that the fact that they were upset by his plan is the entire problem. But I'm not going to let you claim that they ousted him because of it, because that's not actually fucking true. We're going to be precise. Because here's the thing. When people start figuring out, it sounds all well and good. People are going to hear that. They're going to be like, yes, her, that confirms everything I thought I knew, blah, 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 blah. But then, someone out there is going to actually read up on it, or they're actually going to know what happened, and they're going to figure out that you're fucking lying. And then everything else that you say is going to be called into question. Every other criticism, totally legitimate criticism of the DNC, of the dinos, of the establishment Dems is going to be called into question. So just don't fucking go with the lies. Use the truth. The truth is bad enough. The truth is totally bad enough. You don't have to fucking lie. Or push, misinformation about it.
Narratives.
And I'm happy.
You just got cut off, I think.
So, what I'm saying is, I'm happy to accept correction, because as far as I knew, I was speaking from a point of truth. I didn't think that I was spreading something that was incorrect, but I would prefer not to be called a liar and insulted and saying that I'm spreading misinformation intentionally.
Well, you are okay. You're you are.
That's not what's
that's fine. That's fine. But I'm saying that I corrected you, and then you kept saying okay, but, or all right, but and trying to jump in, and that's when I'm getting frustrated. You can look it up. You can look up the details. I'm telling you that is not why he was ousted.
I accept the correction where it was given.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Let's I'm not trying to come, and I know that a lot of people will jump in the box and start trying to in your own living room telling you that you're out of line, which is not appropriate. That's not what I'm trying to say. So apologies for that. That's not what that wasn't the point of what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
What I am trying to say though is that there is a very specific centrist tendency within the Democratic Party. We do know that Andrew Cuomo has talked about running a third-party position on this one to run a poison pill candidacy, just to try to deny what's going on here.
Yeah.
So, as good as this is, and this is good, this is very, very good, and hard in the paint until November is the move. We're not trying to say otherwise there, right? But we do have to recognize that for all of the think pieces, they're going to take all the quotes that we got tonight, right? And for all of the things that we saw that were positive from tonight's performance, and from the fact that the majority of people that showed up in the polls are going to be elated for this. There is going to be articles in the Atlantic. There are going to be Wall Street Journal editorial pieces that are going to be coming out here, accusing the Democratic Party of the base, the campaign, of all manner of things. It's going to get silly, right? Yeah. And it's not about trying to become correct. It's not about trying to win things at this point, because, like you said before, right? This is one of those moments that there is a catharsis to it. There is something where it feels like there's been accomplishment, and there has been, right? But complacency and accepting that is not something that we can do.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, I'm more as happy as I am to have seen this, because I did not expect this to get this far in the first round. I think that most people would say that this was a surprise,
is
absolute, right? A good surprise.
Absolute shock. Yes.
But at the same time, we have people that have enough money to go flying banners up and down the East River, right, for Andrew Cuomo.
No, I mean, that's what we were saying at the
that's
early on.
silliness, right?
We were saying this earlier this evening, that if part of my worry is that if Cuomo does run third party, Bloomberg and shit like that will continue to fund his campaign. And the question is, how much will actual establishment Dems and people within the DNC actually accept Zoran's nomination, and how much will they still be like trying to help Cuomo? And I'm hoping, like, that's the thing. It's like, I don't think it's a given that establishment Dems won't still be like, at least some of them. I'm hoping that at the very least the actual party itself will be like, all right, we can't fucking touch the Cuomo thing. But like Bloomberg and shit are obviously going to back Cuomo no matter what he does.
Well,
And-
I thought Cuomo's specific wording about how he's going to do what's best for the Democratic Party was pretty.
He's never done that. He literally,
Right.
again,
That's
I'm gonna
never
revisit.
happened.
I'm gonna revisit the thing that I've explained a couple of times for the new people here. While he was governor, Cuomo literally made it so that Dems, who had the majority in the legislature, in the state legislature, he literally peeled off some Dems in name only, like, Republicans that run as Dems because that's the only way that they can win, and arranged a coalition between them and the Republicans to hand the Republicans an actual majority so that he could basically he could use them to obstruct any sort of like progressive policies that he didn't actually want to like pass, and like blame them for anything that didn't actually happen, and could help them and work with them to pass Republican shit. Tax cuts for the wealthy, and like stealing money out of the MTA for years and shit. He literally gave more power to the Republicans in the legislature. Cuomo is not a fucking Democrat. He's a Republican. Like, sorry. So when we're talking about him doing the right thing for the Democratic Party, Cuomo has never done the right thing for anyone that wasn't himself, and he's barely done the right thing for himself. He's just done the stuff that will enrich him and like serve his fucking
Well, yeah, and that's why I think the wording is so interesting, because what is he even saying there?
He's basically
Because-
saying
It's a threat.
Because to him, what is the best thing?
The
Right?
best thing for
Which
him is to
Democrats
run.
are telling him
What's-
what the best
oh.
thing is. Like, are we talking about
Yeah, Kirk's
corporate?
turn.
You know what I mean? Like, that's why the wording is so. It's the exact same kind of political snakiness that everybody's so sick
Yeah.
of.
I do want to
So-
say one thing. Like,
Please.
I am so confident in Zoran. I am so confident. I've been confident this entire time. One moment of doubt, I thought I was going crazy because the polls weren't showing this. I was like, why do I feel like he's just gonna win? And the polls weren't showing it. 8 million to 30 million plus, and look what he just did tonight.
Revel in it. I love that you. I love. That
I'm telling you, he has all this time. If you really look at the jumps in the polling, it was from maybe the end of April, beginning of May to now. He has
100%.
until now to November, and everybody who saw this victory is going to be motivated even more. And that is what's going to carry it even further.
Oh, Brenna, why are you doing this to yourself?
No,
That's a lot.
Oh God.
Listen, man, I really, really hope that that's true, and I am right there with you. Like I said, hard in the paint until November. But one of the biggest things that we're going to be looking at here as like a counter, right? We are running up against the identity politics of white men. That is the big obstacle that has to get overcome here. That is a big hurdle to clear, right? And for all the criticisms about purity tests from the left, right, you are going to see a very, very large push of people that if he runs as an independent, people that absolutely do not want to compromise and will not budge and move like 2 inches to the left about grocery stores and buses, right? They're going to be off board for that, running for like dealing with Andrew Cuomo with a little I next to his name. It is going to be hard. Today is a good day, but this is where the work starts. That's the way that goes. So the idea is keep that energy, right? And make sure that you know that you're setting yourself up for the right kind of expectations, the right kind of work, and the right kind of expectations of work. That's where that goes, man. Like, I want it to work for all of us. I sincerely hope you get that. And I am kind of a professional rain cloud. It's what I do for a living. But what I'm saying is this is where it starts to get hard. This is where some acrimonious stuff is going to start flying around, right? Eric Adams is suddenly going to, like, you know, take a night off of Zero Bond and actually be in public in front of a microphone and start saying some nonsense. We're going to have to try to see this, because this is a high profile primary win. This is a big one.
And there's a lot on the line. Yeah.
On that
Has
note,
national
this
eyes
is
on it.
this being, you know, obviously he's running for mayor of New York, but being what New York is, how much of the messaging has to appeal not just to New York, but New York City, but to New York State and to the nation, with as big as this race is, as far as like campaign contributions and just the national messaging?
I think he's done this campaign perfectly. I don't think he's made a single misstep. Maybe a couple, like I saw a couple interviews where he didn't come across the best or whatever, like out in the street. But like that's obviously like smear stuff. I think he's ran this perfectly. And when you compare Zoran to Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo, ball don't lie. It just.
And just to jump off what Oxy said, like, what is one, you know, Zoran tonight said, I couldn't have done this without you. What does AOC say all the time? We need you. What does Bernie say? Like, everybody's been trying to, like Jasmine Crockett, everybody's been saying we cannot do this without you. They don't just mean going to a No Kings protest, right? They mean getting people involved, you know? And I'm one of those people who, you know, I try to stay middle of the road, but I have like this tendency to the opposite of a rain cloud in me that like wants to be optimistic and see the bright side of things. And I will say, how many people, like, other than your like political nerd friends, like we clearly all are, but like how many people a year ago like knew like the ins and outs of like local politics or anything about foreign policy, or even who their house rep was or whatever? Like, there's so many, like, we're in the building phase, right, where people are like starting to get re-educated on how this stuff works, and we've got to channel that with this momentum into getting people actually involved on their local levels, like not just living through the mayoral, you know,
I know
race
him.
in New York City.
Sorry, I'm watching right-wing Twitter fucking melt down over
Oh, they're gonna be
Mamdani.
so mad.
I'm just saying, I know him. I was at that protest. Oh, I know her too. I know a bunch of these organizers. Yeah.
I mean, but this is where
Sorry.
like this is where it begins. I mean, I feel like the public has been so much more educated on how to vote, what they should support, what they shouldn't support, morals even in the world, especially everything going on in PAL. I mean, it's just I sound a little bit delusional. I'm not gonna lie, but I feel
You're having
like
a good day. Don't apologize for having a good day.
Yeah, agree.
I've been following this so closely for so long. I've that's why I was begging to join this live. I was begging. I've been autistically obsessed with this race so much from February to now. I really feel like this is a moment where it's just gonna snowball. Especially, this was the first major election after the election of Donald Trump.
Well, and I guess my point, and I think Brenna's point too, is just that, and I think Oxy's as well, is just that you can't just live in that hope. You have to do the work. And it's just like, I wanna like have the celebratory moment, but also like drive home that you just have to, like, you have to get involved. And
I've been involved.
Because people are so, we're coming out of like literally how long? Like decades of people being in autopilot and this like set it and forget it mode of like politics, you know, where like the numbers of people that turn out to vote, even though that's arguably like the least difficult thing to do when you're talking about being involved in politics, even those numbers are going down, you know.
I
And
got
so
my
it's
aunt
like,
and uncle to vote for Zoran.
I love that.
That
I
was
love
my
that.
big thing. I was pushing that since since day one, sending them TikToks like this is don't do this, do this. I mean, it's
I just think like tempering that language of hope of being like, this is the ball that's going to get it rolling if we do the work. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not just going to happen. I think it's just important to just drive that point home.
well,
So people don't.
I feel like
sort
it's gonna happen because I feel like everybody's gonna do the work.
Okay.
I think
That's
we
where that
also
hope
All
coming
right,
from.
sorry.
I mean,
I just want to. Sorry. Just finish this up. I just want to jump in and talk about this interesting reaction that people are having to Charlie Kirk's Islamophobia.
I just want to say I'm probably gonna get going here. I'm like falling asleep over here.
Understandable. It's 1 a.m.
But I just wanted to say, if you're still in the live, please look into canvassing if you're local, or phone banking if you are not local. We are going to need everybody
Or donating.
from here until November.
I'm buying a shirt.
Please look into that.
If you
Brenna,
figure out
I
where to
wanted
buy a shirt,
thank
let me know.
you a
Yeah,
bunch for
thank you.
just letting me into this space. I had a great time, and I'm happy we all got to celebrate the win together.
Thank you. Likewise.
All right, guys. Have a great night.
Bye.
Good night. Sorry.
What were you saying earlier for a shirt idea? Was it Zuzu for Cutie Patoo? I can't remember.
No,
what you
it was
said.
Zaddy Zozo.
Oh, Zaddy Zozo. I think you need to send that into the campaign.
Zaddy Zozo.
I think it's
Someone in the
worth
chat
noting
said
that
Zaddy Zozo, and I was like, I want that on a shirt. But wait, I do want to acknowledge this. I don't know if you guys have been reading along. I mean, I'm sure you guys saw Charlie Kirk's disgusting fucking post.
I'm
but,
too blind to see it. The text is too small for my old eyes.
Sorry. He basically said 24 years ago, a group of Muslims killed 2,753 people on 9/11. Now a Muslim socialist is on pace to run New York City.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
He's such a piece of shit.
Fucking disgusting. However,
I am flabbergasted.
However, the responses are really fucking interesting. Yes, there's some fucking, fellow Islamophobic, racist pieces of shit that are agreeing with him. But there are also a lot of people. There's a lot of people calling him out, including people on the right. And a lot of them are like, it's not the fact that he's a Muslim, it's the fact that he's a socialist. This is Islamophobic. But also, and I was just thinking about this today, I was kind of jotting down some notes on this, on how the right benefits from conspiratorial thinking and why they encourage conspiracy theory thinking and stuff, because for me it came up, the whole idea of mental gymnastics. I was like, you got to stretch, you got to be flexible to do gymnastics. So they train you how to be flexible with the logic by encouraging this conspiracy theory thing. Anyway, so on this, it seems like it's kind of backfiring on him, because a ton of the replies from the right are like, it wasn't Muslims, it was obviously Israel.
Oh, man.
What?
Yeah.
Spectacular. That is insane.
Yeah.
The Ouroboros comes around and eats itself. Candace Owens
It's their snake in its tail. That is
yeah.
That's crazy.
So here, this one. And some people were pointed out also okay, well, this, domestic tea was Christian. This guy was Christian. So we're going to say that it's all Christians and stuff but hold on. I truly don't believe this.
You did that perfect. Thank you for delivering it that way. I needed the laugh.
Yeah. It's fucking incredible.
My flabbers are gasted. Every time I think these people can't surprise me anymore.
Listen, look at these.
Mossad agents recording it.
Yeah, there's this whole thing. I'm learning. I don't know about this whole fucking conspiracy theory thing, but I'm learning about it just from all these tweets, because there's so much. Look, okay, Chile don't believe it was a group of Muslims. I think it was Israel. Those planes didn't take the building. Explosives did that. Muslims did that. We know because one of their passports was left unharmed on top of the rubble that was so hot it melted structural steel and free fall collapsed. Okay.
Dude, no, okay, listen.
And your favorite country had a group of Mossad agents recording the entire event somehow. Explain that.
Also, birds aren't real.
Yeah, the same, AIPAC that spread you to spread hate, or pay you to spread hate, are the ones who did 9/11.
So literally, okay, so I thought that this was just the kooks of MAGA, but I've been seeing this because I kind of stalk MAGA as a hobby just to see what the girls are talking about. And this has been coming up like more and more. Like they're talking about
I'm sure it will, canned soup.
They're talking about how Epstein was a secret agent of Mossad.
Well, that is actually way more highly likely.
Well, yeah.
That's far more likely. There's actual evidence
back
of that.
into that, and that's how Trump got sucked into bombing Iran. Like it's this whole thing.
Right.
It's fired on them so amazingly. I love when misinformation gets to the point where the people spreading it are now being accused of giving misinformation.
Well, because that's the problem with misinformation, right? It's like it starts to contradict itself. Just naturally.
And you're constantly in cognitive dissonance, right? So it's just like psychosis.
Well, but also
further down
but it's not just cognitive dissonance. It's just the straight up fact that once you lie about one thing, it's like, and this is why you straight up just don't lie, because if you tell a lie about one thing, if you're asked to support that lie, you got to make up a bunch of other lies to shape around it, right? And if those lies ever come into question, you got to create a bunch more lies to support those. And eventually, even if it's just you dropped like a little lie here and a little lie here, the concentric circles of lies that you have to start building to support them start coming into contact with each other. And
not to mention the schizos that think there are like hidden meanings in numbers and symbols.
Wait, what about
the like crazy conspiracy theorists that think there are like hidden messages?
Well, that too. Yes, that too. But I'm saying
none of it helps.
That doesn't help. But I'm saying, but listen, even if let's use that example, right? Oh, they find secret messages in numbers or whatever. Let's say if the numbers, if they're gonna try, and you can make numbers do anything, right? That's the fun part of numbers. Literally, you can do anything to them. Let's say that they have a set of numbers. They're like, oh, the secret code, and it proves this correctly if you interpret the numbers and do this kind of math to this and da-da-da-da, right? But then if you take that same set of numbers and you could apply the same, different set of math so that it like supports this lie or piece of misinformation, it's like at a certain point, the evidence, like reality and just these lies are going to start contradicting one another by nature, because that's just, you know what I mean? Like, and that's what, like, reality is consistent with itself at the very least. Obviously, reality has lots of contradictions in that sense, but at the very least, reality is consistently, weird, but it is what it is. And it's like, but lies are going to start running up on each other. And so that's why you're going to have this sort of fucking situation sooner or later.
And I think there's the people that are lying, right, knowingly.
I'm not saying numbers lie. I'm saying you can make numbers do whatever you want. Whatever. We're talking about people who play with like numerology.
But there's the liars, right? And then there's the consumers of the lies. So there's the people with the cognitive dissonance that are being fed these lies that are coming across these cognitive dissonance contradictions, right? Mm-hmm. But they're waiting to be fed because they can't find it anywhere else. And then when the numbers thing is, I don't know if you guys Chad is familiar, but they literally interpret Trump's Truth Social posts, like look for capital letters and then ascribe numerology to them. And they say that it's like Q messages, and there's like Q still talks to them on the message boards. And what happens is if you're the people that are being fed the lies and you don't have a grounding of truth and reality, like nothing is true, nothing is real, a lot of these people do actually collapse into this like psychosis state, right? Because there's no grounding factor for them. Like there's no objective truth. And a lot of these people have also been isolated from their friends and family because of these beliefs. And I feel like it's why we kind of have this, I think that's what Added was talking about, this sort of epidemic of people who don't have any grounding reality at all.
Yeah.
I just really wish we didn't have a president that required a bunch of pundits to like tell us what he really meant.
Who? What was that, Serge? What did you say?
I just wish we had a president that didn't require a whole cable television full of pundits to tell the public what he really meant to say.
Yeah.
And then he tells you, actually, I meant what I said.
Yeah, it's like you have professional Trump interpreters. Like, It's wild.
But the thing
It's
with Trump,
crazy as shit.
his contradiction is what kind of paralyzes people a little bit, is because he blatantly breaks the laws. It's kind of like, wow, he's just blatantly doing it. So to his base, that projects strength, which is something that they're just into because it's a cult. And for people who are against him, it's kind of like, well, there's no hope because he's blatantly breaking the laws and there's no consequence.
Yeah.
It's a weird paradox that he has when he does that. But I feel like it's, again, like, it shows not how fragile our government is, but it just shows that, you know, if no one's getting held accountable, then it doesn't really matter. And I
Yeah,
think
that's why I don't waste any bandwidth trying to debate these idiots. It's just, I'm more interested in appealing to the people that we can actually get out to vote rather than trying to change votes. Because
What's that quote from the guy who failed to assassinate the H man in World War II? It was something about stupidity, like you can't fight, like you literally cannot. Like you can't
never
fight
underestimate
stupidity.
the power of stupid people in large numbers.
Well, no, but it was the quote is something like you can't get a foothold to fight it, right? Evil, you have a foothold to fight it because it collapses in on itself, right? But when it comes to stupidity, which isn't lack of education, it's nothing to do with IQ. It's like willfully, it's exactly what we're seeing right now, like a willful circumventing of everything we know to be logical and intelligent, all that stuff, that you can't fight it because you can't get a foothold with that.
Well,
I
also,
think that's
one of the other things that you have with fascist propaganda in particular is that it's not axiomatic by nature, right? So, like when you talk about like Jewish bankers and Jewish Bolsheviks in Germany in the 1930s, right? They would use both lines interchangeably, even though you can't be both. That's not how that works.
Right.
The goal of fascist rhetoric is to shut down thought and to shut down conversation, just so that you're the last man standing. So there are people that get like deep into, religious psychosis when it comes in for these things, like, reading tea leaves in Truth Social posts, sure. But there are also people that the entire goal of them having a conversation with you is to make you stop talking, right? And that's it. So what they'll use is whatever point they want to try to make you cease and walk away. So they are the last person that's around. So, like, when you take a look at it here, like, think about it, like, liberalism requires process and, a certain degree of institutionalism, right? You have to do things the right way and you have to win the right way. And because you believe in the rules, if you lose by the rules, you step down, you step aside, right? Fascists don't care. Fascists will rewrite the rule book as they're going and use whatever they need to. So court decisions are a means to an end, but they're not required. Laws are a means to an end, but they're not required. However we get there as far as a fascist is concerned. So if you're looking at like what these guys are saying right now, right, you can, their attachment to reality, to truth, correctness, procedural correctness, isn't going to be there the same way. Like earlier today, just today, I made a statement about David Hogg that was incorrect. I accepted correction because I was wrong, right? And it's reasonable to do that when you're wrong. You should accept correction when you're wrong. And now that I know the correct answer to that, I won't use that term of rhetoric anymore because it's not correct to do. The guys that are here debating whether 9/11 was done by Muslims, the Mossad, or some guy that lives down the street from them right now, they're going to have a little flap on the internet about it for right now, which is kind of funny to watch. But they'll use both interchangeably to win whatever argument they need to shut down discourse. That's the other thing that you got to get to here. Sometimes it's crazy people, sometimes it's ideologues, and sometimes it's nihilists that were raised on 4chan.
Well, and the thing about it is that when you're at the stage of capitalism that we're at, when you are existing in a society that no longer rewards honorable men, the impetus and like you start to lose honorable men, right? And by the way, big ups to you for taking taking a lump and being like, "That's cool."
No, you're wrong.
By
You're
the
wrong.
way,
Yeah, that's the way that goes. That's the literal
yeah,
least you can do,
but,
short of sending hopes and prayers.
yeah. But we live in a society that no longer values truth or honor on its face, right? You know, we're fighting that, but that's the reality that we currently.
Almost like a post ideologue type of mindset that a lot of people have. No, it's not really about values or ideologies, more so just emotional resonance to messages.
And I mean,
I still think the majority of our society still favors truth and still favors, like I was saying earlier, like progressive policy, but the vast majority of our society is not active in the democratic process.
I was gonna say those are the real sleeper cells in America. They're just the quiet, logical.
If we had a 60% turnout in the next election, like the establishment would shit themselves.
Well, just to bring it back to Mom Donnie for a minute, that's why wins like this and, you know, megaphoning, amplifying these wins are so important, and building and keeping up that momentum is because people cannot. There's people that have like oppositional defiant disorder, and when stuff is bad, will like put their head down and fight harder. But most people aren't like that. Most people do fall into like despair when they feel like things are hopeless and they don't have any kind of win at all. And that's why I feel like it's so important to amplify this, because it is a huge win, because it shows people that it's possible. You know, and that's another thing Mom Donnie said tonight is he talked about that, you know, or his campaign manager, she talked about that when she was opening for him, about how like everybody said that this was impossible, you know, and that this just couldn't happen.
And which, not for nothing, like I haven't seen a hype man that good since I saw James Brown live in concert like 15, 20 years ago. She needs work. When she's done with this one, we got to figure out where we're going to stick her for the next one, because goddamn.
Girl, yeah, I got a political crush.
Wait,
man. She was good.
Canned. Sorry, I just want to correct Canned. Facts over feelings was never actually facts over feelings. That's the point. They started using that to pretend they weren't. It's not that they got taken over and suddenly became all about feelings. They were always all feelings.
Yeah, I mean, every time they pointed a finger, they, you know, the rest of their fingers were pointed back at them.
Yeah, it was
Every
more like
single
facts
time.
to support your feelings than anything.
Yeah, exactly. Select
Confirmation
full
bias.
facts to support your feelings.
I know.
Well, I also wanted. Sorry, I wanted to jump in earlier. Sorry, Serge. I'm gonna take over for a second. Just because I appreciate, like, it's funny that you say axiomatic, because I feel like I used to be the only person I knew who used that all the time. When I said like every fucking belief, like, because for a really long time, and now I use the word less now, but it's anyone who was in my lives, like in the months leading up to the election and the inauguration can attest to this. Like, my belief is that like most of us actually agree on things, and I think most beliefs are axiomatic in theory, that like if you can sit down and you can talk to someone, you can slowly but surely strip away all the bullshit, like the misinformation, the like it's mostly misinformation, right? Like what they think will best support their axiomatic belief, all that stuff. And you can get down to the core beliefs, right? Like, and I think most people actually agree, like, oh, we want what's best for the most amount of people, right? Unaliving people is bad. You know, like people suffering is bad, you know, basic stuff like that, whatever. And then there's like usually a bunch of layers on top of that of misinformation, or at least different information, which is how we how we resulted in like different conclusions, right? So in the months leading up to the election in November, like, you know, we had slightly debatey lives here, but when we say debatey, they weren't like the classic debates. They were, thank you, Jeff. they were more just like free flowing discussions, right? And we had a lot of MAGA up and other, people basically along the spectrum, but we had a lot of MAGA up, and we would go point by point, or at least we would try to, and we would, sorry, I'm looking for my remote. We would fact check. Like, firstly, we would talk about like what's important to the beliefs, but then also if there was actual like factual information, or like, if something was based on what was supposed to be like information that we could fact check, we would fact check it. And then also what we would do is we would go through the logic, point by point, and like, and we would like question it. And a lot of the times, yeah, sure, sometimes people get angry and stuff, but like if you do have patience, like one of the main things I would always hear was like how patient I was. And it's because I would happily spend over an hour like slowly going through point by point, like MAGA's belief system, a person's specific belief, and like examining it and questioning it, and like peeling apart the logic, and then just fact checking the premises that it was based on, and like getting to a place where they found themselves a little bit stuck. There was like a contradiction there, whether it was a contradiction in what they believed to be fact, or a contradiction in what they claimed was their like axiomatic, like base moral belief, and the actual results of their beliefs, or like the policies that they claimed they like, for example. I don't think it's impossible. I think, yes, there's a lot of slippery people who will pivot constantly, but like, I do think it's very, very possible, because we did it for months, to take the time. It's fucking exhausting, to be fair. I don't expect everyone to be going around doing this, but I do think that it is generally possible to slowly but surely like peel back the layers of both misinformation and logical fallacies that build things like MAGA,
Brenna, I have a sort of self-centered question to ask you about that. So I was a person who believed that most people were good at heart, and that most people believed in truth, all that stuff, until COVID. Mm-hmm. And the way that people responded to the masking and all that stuff really shook the foundations of who I believed most people to be. Yeah. And so how do you like square that with what you just said?
I don't think it's, maybe sometimes I'll say, oh, I think most people are good. I don't think it's that simple. I think most people want the same things. I don't think most people are good out of the kindness of their hearts, right? Like, and I think most people are selfish, frankly. I think most people give a shit about what they have in their life available to them, and what they're going to get over the course of their life. But I think also when you talk to people, I think most people will agree on some of the same morals, right? Like goodness, I don't think is just a set of beliefs. I think goodness is a set of actions, right? But I think most people will agree, like, yeah, unaliving versus not unaliving is bad, right? Just as a basic thing, right? Unaliving is bad in general. Now, we're all going to have different caveats, right? Like, oh, okay, if someone is attacking me and they're going to unalive me and I unalive them, is that okay? Most people are going to be like, yeah, that's okay. That's probably, and then you can build up stuff like that. But most people are going to be like, yeah, that's not great. Starving children, that's an easy one, right? Most people are going to agree that's bad. And when you just pose it to them like that. Sorry?
Not Elon Musk.
Well, sure. But if you asked Elon Musk, is children starving bad? He would be like, yeah, of course it is, right? And then you can be like, cool, well, here you were given this opportunity to do this. Why didn't you do it? And like, let him explain why he didn't do it, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. There's like a difference. Like, most people are going to be like, no, I agree. Yeah, children starving is bad. Okay, cool. This person that you voted for keeps voting to take away school lunches. How does that work? Do you support that? And they could be like, well, no, it's obviously like I want those kids to eat lunch, but I don't think it's my job to feed them. Okay, so what you're saying is that if you see a child starving in the middle of the street, you're gonna say, and you agree that it's bad, you're not gonna, you don't believe that you should step in, you're not gonna step in because you're gonna say, well, but it's the parent's job. And then, let them say, well, no, but it's like, no, obviously, like, if I saw a starving kid, like, I would help, I would feed that kid, but, like, also, I would, whatever. I don't fucking know what they'll say, but, it just, like, and you go step by step and just, like, investigate, like, okay, but if this is your belief, like, what are the limitations to the belief? What are the caveats to that belief? Okay, if you believe yourself that to be a good person, and and you think that a good person would do what they need to do to make sure kids don't go hungry, but then you go and you're not doing the thing that you think of yourself as doing, doesn't that mean that according to your own logic, you're not a good person? Like, it's more just, instead of me being like, let me impose my morals and logic, like, I'm going to ask you what your morals are, what you believe your morals are, and then I'm going to ask you, cool, let's talk about how you put those into practice. And we're going to catch the fucking logical fallacies there, If Elon Musk does, maybe Elon Musk is going to be like, I don't give a shit about starving kids. Okay.
I was just saying that as a joke.
No, I understand, but it's like, but that's like a good example, because a lot of people would be like, well, no, like, not everyone's going to agree on this, da-da-da. And it's like, okay, no, but like, if you sat Elon down and asked him, do you care about starving children? I actually don't know if he would be like, yeah, I do care. I mean, he'd pretend to, right? He'd pretend to be like, he's got like a fucking savior complex. But like, then, you investigate that.
Do you think that has to do though with
Can I say something
press
real
at
quick?
large?
Because that reminded me of a really good quote about fascism.
What's up?
It's the quote, it's never believe, this is relating to like World War II. Never believe the anti-Semites are completely unaware of the absurdity of their replies. They know that their remarks are frivolous, open to challenge, but they're assuming themselves, for it is their adversary who is obliged to use their words responsibly. Since he believes in words, the anti-Semites have the right to play. Yet even like to play with discords by giving ridiculous reasons, they discredit the seriousness of their, this word's hard, but my favorite part of the quote is, since they seek not to persuade by sound argument, but to intimidate and disconnect, if you press them too closely, they will abruptly fall silent. And I feel like that applies to a lot of MAGA.
Yeah.
And definitely this playbook of fascism. And something, I was talking to my friend about it, and like why this fascism is so hard to fight compared to let's say like the 1940s or just anytime fascism pops up, is just this fascism usually before it come top to bottom, like the government will put out propaganda. The government still does that, but the government will put out propaganda. The people consume it. Now in the age of social media and the bots and all this stuff, it comes bottom to bottom.
No.
Between people, and it
I'm going to push back. I'm going to push back on that. It's not as simple like, oh, it's always top to bottom. No, like Mustache Man, he got into power. When Mustache Man came into power, first started, he was bottom. And it started in bottom, and then it rose, and it became the top, and then it became top down. In the same, like,
Yeah,
it has
and I
never,
wouldn't
it's
say
not,
that
it's not like you have a government and all of a sudden they're like, you know what, let's be anti-Semitic.
Well,
And it
that's
starts
not what I'm
top
saying.
down. I'm saying a lot of those governments came into power with a set of ideas, a fascist ideology that started as like this, fringe thing on the bottom. And then, in Spain, similarly, our fascist dictator was a fucking foot soldier, who started just like fucking around with his like military buddies and being like, hey, I think this, I think that, da-da-da-da. Maybe we should fucking take over Spain. Yeah, okay, let's fucking do it. Like, it started bottom and it grew and then it took over and it became top and then it went top down. So like, I'm just
and
gonna
it's
push
like
on
we
that.
were talking. It's like we were talking about earlier that it's intellectually dishonest populism, right? Like
Sure.
it's faux populism.
Yeah.
So, and I would also push back a little. Like I don't think that was less hard to fight. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that we're in a like, I think that if you look at the structure of all of it, it's the same. And the people of Germany, like they all bought it, and the people that didn't hid, fled, or were killed, so it's like, we're in a very,
What I'm saying is the difference is now and I'll concede a little bit on like the top to bottom. I didn't really explain it that well, but I'm saying now it's supercharged. The misinformation is supercharged. That's the biggest concern, and it's been hard to fight against. And
Yeah,
that's
there's a machine now that didn't exist then. But that's sort of a constant, barrage of mis and disinformation. That's true. And and nobody knows, there's no history to look back at when it comes to that. Right? Like you can take things from the past and apply them as best you can to the present. But, AI, but all this stuff that we're dealing with now, you're right. We
and
haven't dealt with
it's
that
how
before.
do we fight and I think that's like super important, like you were talking about, like stripping down people's arguments one by one, but like a lot of the people you do encounter don't want to argue. They just want to scream at you and tell you why you're wrong. There's not
and I was
intellectual conversation. The people who are willing to have intellectual conversation, that's amazing, but it's just that's so far in between.
Well, and when Brenna was talking, after I asked her that question, I kind of had a light bulb moment. Like, I've always known this, right? We talk about this, how so many people, she's talking about selfish motives. And I think it boils down to comfort, right? Like, because my whole thing with COVID was like, to me, and that's a fight that I've always sort of battled within myself, right? Is like, it's always difficult to not, because I can always put myself in other people's shoes when it comes to empathy. It's a fault of mine, but I can't always understand why people are thinking and doing things in a certain way. Because to me, it was obvious. It was like, oh, the youngest among us, the immune compromised, the oldest among us, like society at large can really suffer and people can unalive, right? Because of this. And so in my mind, at first, I thought, well, there's only one right thing to do, right? Is that we come together as a society and we do what's best for everyone, by putting a mask on our face and standing 6 feet. So to me, it was like there was no other option, right? And at first, everyone did that, but then it didn't take very long before all that stuff was put out, right? And people were like, oh, I don't want to do this, and I'm uncomfortable. And I had a light bulb moment when Brenna was talking. I was like, it's selfishness, but it's not even really, it's comfort, right? If something like breaks the bubble of people's comfort and they feel like they have to sacrifice, like I thought everybody, when the rubber met the road, would sacrifice for the greater good. And I was like, it was like a rude awakening for me that they didn't, and it all boils down to what we talk about all the time is like, at what point are people going to sacrifice their comfort for other people? At what point are other people going to put their bodies on the wheel for the democracy? Are they going to realize that they have to, for example, be willing to take a charge to stop people posing as eyes from kidnapping? You know what I mean? Like just stuff like that. And so, I don't know. It's a hard thing for me to grapple with and reckon with when it comes to all this stuff.
But that's why it's so important to get involved on the local level.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just like reading off.
And it's also. Oh,
sorry, I
have a motorcycle. I'm sitting outside. Sorry.
You're good.
But it's also why amplifying stuff like tonight is so important, because I feel like people need that hope so that they don't just stay in a state of paralyzation, just being paralyzed and in despair. So.
Buenos dias, Madre. Oy.
No, I'm definitely stealing that intellectually dishonest populism line, though. That was that was good. I'm taking that from you, Kate. Thank you for that.
No, that was a piggyback on my part from the puppet. So but feel free. What was Oslo?
I do have to jump off. I got a 9 o'clock client meeting, but thank you all. It was a good day. As much as fascism is miserable, you take the wins when you can get them.
Hell yeah.
So thanks for sticking around.
Thanks for coming up. Appreciate you. I need to get to sleep also. I don't want to fuck up my sleep schedule again. I'm going to try real hard not to. But this was great. Thank you all for hanging out, watching those results come in. I totally was expecting us to have to meet back up in a week. I mean, and probably we will. We should, but yeah, thank you all for coming and
Thank you so much for hosting, Brenna. And if I may suggest, please clip you dancing and post this like celebratory video on your
Yeah, I gotta
TikTok
do
because I
that,
think
I
people
guess.
would love it. So
Okay.
it was nice
So,
talking with everyone. Thank you.
amazing stream. So happy for the win.
And thanks for having us.
Conversations.
Thank you guys. Thank you all the guests, everyone. W's in the chat for the guests.
28. I'm gonna keep saying it.
For Senate. For Senate. AOC for Senate.
For president.
AOC for Senate. We need people like AOC passing the laws. I don't give a shit who's fucking enacting them. Not that I don't give a shit, but we need people like AOC writing the laws, passing the laws. That's what we need.
I'm gonna back
I like
Brenna on this
AOC for
one.
Senate, and I have a prediction about 2028. I think that JB Pritzker might be the Democratic nominee.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know why the fuck it needs to be a billionaire, let me tell you. But
who?
Is he a billionaire?
Pritzker. He's a billionaire, yeah.
You're better than my friend. I've been saying.
Oh,
Gavin
as far
Newsom.
as billionaires in politics go, he's one of the good ones for sure. But like,
That's a nah for me.
Does it have to be a fucking billionaire?
I'd rather.
No.
Whatever.
All right, bye, you guys. Thank you.
All right.
Bye,
I'll
guys.
drop
Thank
down.
you so much.
Cheers.
All right. Thank you all. Yeah, I have nothing else to say, I guess. Whoops. Love you all. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for everything. Hi, mods. Thank you for the mods. W's in the chat for mods. Appreciate you. Zaddy Zozo! W in the chat for Zaddy Zozo! Ah! And if anyone wants to make me a shirt with the Zoran Mamdani colors and font and stuff that says Zaddy Zozo, I would pay handsomely for that. Thank you. All right. Good night, guys. Wait, I don't know how to stop the fucking live now. They changed this around. They changed it around. Oh, here we go. Okay.